The PS2 is no stranger to terrible racing games, from seminal classics such as big rigs over the road racing, to more niche experiences such as Taxi 3. But in September of 2005, a new challenger entered the ring. Action Girlz Racing, and yes, that is girls with a Z. So yes, welcome to the Worst Racing Games, the series where you guys suggest different racing games that you think are terrible, and then I play them, review them, and rank them. Last week we had a nice break from genuinely bad games with Road Trip Adventure, so of course the sacred wheel of racing games has cursed me with whatever this pile of code is supposed to be. So before we get into the gameplay, let me just give you a bit of history about the game. Action Girlz Racing seemingly spawned from the depths of who knows where in September of 2005. The game was developed by Data Design Interactive, who you may know for such quality titles like Ninja Bread Man or Rock and Roll Adventures. Data Design really has one of the worst reputations for poor quality titles across the whole industry, which is really saying a lot because we've played some absolute garbage during this series. The most embarrassing part for me about Data Design Interactive is that they're English. So on behalf of England, I apologise for Data Design Interactive. Anyway, enough about the background, let's dive into the game. So the first thing you'll notice is that the loading screen looks, well, not great, and the menu looks even poorer. I was hoping this wouldn't be a sign of things to come, but let's just get into a race.
3, 2, 1, go!
How is it so slow? Now I know this is 50cc, but come on man, this is absolutely ridiculous. People drive in car parks and park faster than this. Anyway, more on that later. So in terms of controls, it's fairly straightforward: accelerate with X, brake with square, even if the brake barely works. If you want to use the very limited items this game has to offer, you can press triangle. Steering is done with the left analog stick, and you can look behind you with L2, and you can also use L1 to change to the bumper view, but for some reason this point of view is comically close to the ground, making driving from this point of view both very difficult but also very nauseating. There's absolutely no way that anyone at Data Design got anyone to playtest this before release, because surely someone would have pointed that out, amongst other glaring issues. Now you're probably wondering, what even are the Action Girlz? Well, allow me to introduce them to you. After you've chosen your character, the loading screen will display a few characteristics such as their star sign, job, and signature catchphrase. For example, meet Bianca, a racing driver for a legally distinct Ferrari. Her star sign is Taurus if anyone is interested, and her catchphrase is get out of the fast lane. Honestly, that's one of the less ridiculous character bios we have, as we have Blossom, who looks like one of the 3 blind mice. Her signature catchphrase is remember the Beatles? Nah, never heard of them. Anyway, yeah, there are 8 of these wonderful Action Girls to play as, each with their own unique catchphrases, which they never actually say in the game, or say anything at all for that matter. So let's get back into racing. As I mentioned earlier, 50cc is painfully slow, like really slow. There are a couple of tracks where a single lap in this 50cc can take 3 minutes, and there's 3 laps per race, which means you're looking at nearly 10 minutes for a race sometimes. So as well as having the 3 standard engine classes of 50, 100 and 150cc, the game also has 3 difficulty modes for the AI: beginner, experienced and advanced. It doesn't really matter which one you choose because they're all quite broken. At certain points in a race, the AI will just magically speed up to a ridiculous extent that you just can't keep up with, and then they slow down again. I think the intention was to make it feel like a tense race, but the reality is that A, it looks broken, and B, it actually is broken. Sometimes they zoom off and there's absolutely no chance of you catching up even after getting boost pickups. I refer to my previous statement about this game not being playtested. As well as the AI having a case of the zoomies, they also crash all the time, into each other, into walls, and rather frustratingly, into you as well. The issue is when someone collides with you, there's a good couple of seconds where your steering suddenly stops. Come on, data design, really? So you may end up sandwiched into a wall. Basically every single AI drives like Lance Stroll in the dry on steroids. It's just painful. Now, the game has a simple unlock system, which means to unlock 100cc, you have to complete 3 cups of 50cc, each consisting of 4 races. The same applies with 100cc to 150, but at least 100cc is over a bit quicker due to the speed increase. Now, speaking of those cups, let's talk about the tracks. The game has about 5 tracks to offer, but pretends like it has 10, as they take those 5 tracks and change it from daytime to nighttime. That's literally it, nothing else. None of the tracks are particularly well designed, but mostly their biggest crime is being incredibly generic and boring. There is one track that gets you driving through a school. It's not great, but at least it was some different scenery. That's probably the nicest compliment Action Girlz Racing is going to get from me. Now, the game may have a nice variety of 8 characters, but for some unholy reason, every single car in the game is a smart car. They all drive a smart car, just in a different colour. No other options. The best part is these smart cars are definitely slower than their real life counterparts. This is one of those rare games where truly nothing came together. I cannot think of a single redeeming quality that Action Girlz Racing has to offer that you can't find 10 times better in many other kart racers. Now, in terms of the visual design, the HUD that is on screen during races is just tacky. The bar that shows progression looks terrible and sometimes doesn't even sync up with where you're racing. The font that your position is shown in is terrible, just the whole layout is ugly. Speaking of ugly, the character models look like something out of old school Roblox in the worst possible way, and the environments are incredibly depressing for a 2005 game. I can only imagine it was even more disappointing when this was ported to the Nintendo Wii 2 years later. It looked no different. Yes, the game may have the bright colours of a Nintendo game, but I'm pretty sure Nintendo would have sued themselves if they'd made this. And even though the game looks that bad, it still suffers from some fairly irritating frame rate drops. How? Action Girlz Racing seems to have just 2 pieces of music across the whole game. The menu music,
Racing.
generic, and the racing music, just as generic. The menu music I can get over, but this is a kart racer with just one single racing piece of music. At least give us 1 per track. Now, with this being a kart racer, of course there are power-ups. What power-ups are there, Kledge, I hear you ask? Well, dear viewer, the game has 2 projectiles, both of which are phones. Yes, phones. The homing projectile is a mobile flip phone, and the regular projectile is an old landline phone. There's also a shield that is an irritating umbrella that takes up too much of the screen, and then 2 different kinds of boost, one that surrounds you with mirrors, and one that's just a standard boost. The projectiles are insanely overpowered, as the hit animation takes way too long and also has no cooldown, so you can be hit numerous times in a row. But on the other hand, it is very satisfying to hit someone else and freeze them for several seconds. Whilst you can't hold more than 1 type of item, you can stack the same item up to 3 times, so once you've picked up the item, anytime you go through an item box, you'll get the same item, except the effects of it will last longer, or if it's a projectile, you'll have 2 or 3 of them. I just find it so insane that after hours of playing, writing, and thinking, I can't honestly think of one nice thing to say about this game. I don't even feel bad about it because this dev team clearly didn't care either. The game's box states that this is the only racing game made by girls for girls, which, whilst I can't officially confirm this, is more than likely not true. The whole thing is just a big scam. Now, I'm sure this won't come as a surprise to you that Action Girlz Racing did not score well with critics. I wasn't able to find any proper PS2 version reviews, but IGN did review the Wii version and gave it a mere 0.8 out of 10. Should have gone lower in my opinion. The user score on Metacritic for this game is also the lowest I have seen on a game in this series, with a remarkably low 1.9 out of 10. The only sales figures I could find for the game were again for the Wii version, with VG charts stating that the Wii port only sold 10,000 copies. Yikes. If you are an owner of Action Girlz Racing on PC, PS2 or Wii, please let me know in the comments down below and let me know what you thought of the game when you bought it, especially if you genuinely thought it was going to be good. So now the time has come to rank Action Girlz Racing on our worst racing games tier list. If you hadn't guessed from my very positive attitude towards this game, Action Girlz Racing deserves no other place except pure evil. This is a game that doesn't even really deserve the title of game. It has barely any content, it looks horrible, it sounds horrible, and to top it all off, it plays horribly. So let me know in the comments, would you rank this game any differently? Have you played it? And if so, what did you think? As always, if you have a suggestion for this series, let me know as well. That brings us to the end of our look at Action Girlz Racing, and with it this week's episode of Worst Racing Games. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe and tap that bell for notifications to stay up to date with this series. It all really helps. A massive thank you to my Patreon subscribers for the support, and all that I have left to say is bye bye.